So instead of doing a proper vlog this month, I wanted to do an early season little garden tour so you can see some of the plants that I'm growing, because a lot of them will end up in some of the medicines and different offerings that I provide over the coming year. And it's really fun to see the plants when they're babies, and we'll do this again in a few months and you can watch them grow. So I'm going to take you through just some of the garden beds, and we'll talk about some of the herbs that I'm growing. So first we have this beautiful hops stand, and this particular hops is about 3 years old, so he's nice and healthy and big, and the idea was to have him crawl up these bamboo trellises, but instead he insists on climbing all the way through the garden bed, so I constantly have to untangle him from all of the other plants so that he can do what he wants to do. Last year was the first year that we got buds, flowers from the hops plant, and I'm hoping that this year we get even more. Hops is one of the closest relatives to cannabis, so the hops flowers, when they grow, are just really sticky and resinous and fragrant, and really fun to work with. And so you can see over here he's kind of trying to grow. He might grow up to this other log, which would be nice, and hopefully not cause too much trouble to this holy basil. And this holy basil is, we started indoors and they're already flowering, and I've got a few of these throughout the garden, so we'll see them a few more times. But this is the Tulsi varietal of holy basil, and tucked in there throughout the garden I have a lot of capsicum, a lot of different cayenne peppers. I like to work with cayenne medicinally a lot, so lots of cayenne. And if we back up here, this is a little baby chamomile, and chamomile is really great to have in the garden because they are, in folklore, considered to be the herbalists of the garden. So when chamomile is present, if any of the other plants have problems or get sick, chamomile will help doctor them up and give them some remedy, which is really nice. We'll back up a bit to this little baby. This is lemon verbena, and I had a really big verbena last year that didn't survive the winter, so we're starting with a new little babe. And verbena always does really well here, and these leaves, even just sitting next to them here as it's kind of lightly raining, they're incredibly fragrant, and I love to just come take one or two of these leaves and use them in tea, iced tea during the summer. Really nice. There's just two of them here, and their neighbors are a little baby hyssop, which I don't know for sure if this hyssop will flower this year, but this is a plant that I really love working with for respiratory health, to just keep the systems clean. We have a lot of pollution and inversion where I live, so hyssop is a really nice ally. And then I've got some garlic here to protect the garden spaces. That's more cayenne. This big guy here is Elfort, or elecampane, and this elecampane plant is about 3 years old, and I think this might be the year that we take some of the roots out and work with them as medicine, also for respiratory health, and then we'll trim back the other parts of the root and put them back in so the plant will continue to grow. So really beautiful, nice big happy elecampane. Got another chamomile, some rue, which I picked up just the other day from a local garden center, so we'll see how that rue does. And then back there, a little baby borage. And borage, they don't survive the winter here, but when we plant them, they always flower. They always look really beautiful and get big. You can see I've given this borage like quite a bit of space in here. He'll get really big and we'll get those nice beautiful borage flowers. So this is one of my raised beds. We have really poor clay soil here where I live, So I do have to bring in soil, but there are some plants that I can grow directly in the dirt. And I do a style of dirt growing called no-till, because we want to try to encourage mycelial growth and keep the mushrooms happy. And so right here, I'm very proud of these guys. I've got two 4-year-old, actually, marshmallow. So these are marshmallow flower plants, and they are 4. I've never harvested roots from these plants. I've just been working with the leaves and the flowers, but they will get quite tall, and the flowers are really beautiful. And for some reason, even though the soil is so dry, they do really, really well here. Very happy. Their closest neighbor here is yarrow, and the yarrows have not flowered yet, and I've got a bunch of them going. Under here we're trying to do some beans, but the squirrels keep pulling the beans up, so we're attempting to cover them up and see if we can get a head start. So back here in this corner, this guy here and here, this is valerian, and these valerians are about 3 years old, and this is what the outgrowth looks like. It's really beautiful, big hollow stalks, and they get about 5 feet tall. I've never harvested the roots from these plants, but I think this year I'm going to try to break those roots up and harvest a little bit and then keep some of the roots going. The bush in the back here is goji berry. You can see some of the dried goji from last year. And then there is a nice big lemon balm hiding back here. And another plant that I'm really excited to be growing is cleavers. And cleavers gives the impression of being sticky when you touch them, but they're not sticky. They just have tiny little micro hooks on the leaves that you can't really see, and it sort of translates on the skin as being a sticky sensation. So they'll grow up the fence here. I've got a couple of them, and when they flower they make the cutest tiny little white flowers, and they'll kind of go all the way up this fence. So next up is a giant stand of catnip, really fragrant catnip that my cats love, super soft and happy. And I just put in some peppermint. This is really poor soil, but the catnip does so well that I was hoping maybe some of the other mint family plants would do well also. So I think there's going to be some lavender coming in over here as well. This is a first year fennel, just a little fennel, little guy. And then who else is over here? This is a second year wood betony, which I'm really excited about. Last year this plant really struggled. This year they're doing great, coming in with a lot of strength and vitality. So this is a medicine I work with a lot, and really excited to be growing them. Oh, there's a little volunteer rue plant over here. The second bed is a lot of gotu kola, which I work with a lot. Some more chamomile. This is a 3 or 4 year old horehound, which I work with for cough and cold season. Some calendula. This is a little return monarda, little bee balm, tiny little guy. And there's some more holy basil in the back that we just bought from the garden store. And then this sage is about 3 years old, but I just trimmed lots of old growth off. So he looks a little small, but he's very happy. The same with this thyme and this oregano. They needed to be trimmed back. They got really bushy and died back over the winter, so they look little now, but they will get big. A couple more hot peppers, some culinary basil, some lemon basil. Over here we've got our hypericum, St. John's wort coming in, and this stand actually will fill in where all of this Japanese hops is. We'll get lots and lots of hypericum. And I've got a little plot across the alley too with more hypericum in it as well. And last but not least, wormwood, big stand of wormwood and a lot more hypericum kind of in there with some ornamental rose and some irises and lots of dandelions. So there you have it, little garden tour. And like I said, we'll come back in a few months and see how all these plants are doing. And if you keep posted, I will also show you how I harvest and collect some of these plants at the end of the year and make magic and medicine with them. See you next time.